Here's the thing. Hit that like, hit that subscribe. Come talk some Phillies with us. This is a brand new show on HUD Radio. Let's go.
Oh my God! I'm embarrassed! You're flying!
Welcome in. It's almost time.
Welcome in, everybody. It's a brand new show on HUD Radio. It's called Here's the Thing with Mitch Williams. I'm Tom Arnone. We are brought to you by Philly Sports Trips. And hey, Birds fans, Tom Arnone with some huge news. The schedule is coming out next week. Make sure you go see my friends from phillysportstrips.com and reserve your spot today. You'll get to watch a Birds game in a great city and hang out with former Eagles like Hollis Thomas. Philly Sports Trips books you at the best hotels and has the best birds available. You know you'll have a blast. Book now and tell them HUD sent you. What's up, everybody? As I mentioned, that's Mitch Williams. I'm Tom Arnone. We're going to be coming live to you every Monday at 1 p.m. Eastern. We got a jam-packed show in store for you for our first one. Later on in the show, we'll talk about Joel Embiid staying on his feet and not flopping so much. So we'll discuss that. We'll discuss that at the end of the show. We'll give you our preview and recap of what happened with the Phillies over the last week and give you a little preview of coming up on what's in store the next week for the Phillies. And they got to start playing some good baseball ASAP. We'll talk about the Phillies starting pitching concerns because they're a big one right now, right? I mean, the team earned run average is atrocious. I think it's 26 in baseball. And I think the starters earned run average is even lower than that or higher than that. Sorry. There's even higher than that. The starters earned run average. So not good enough. We talked about this a little bit last year. We'll talk about that the second half of our show. Our main topic at hand is going to be Bryce Harper and Arnone. We're going to talk a little bit about their arm slots. And that is brought to you, ties into our poll question that's brought to you by Baggio's Bread. They're located in Mount Laurel, New Jersey. They're the home of the best stuffed breads, tomato pies, sandwiches, cutlets, meatballs. You mentioned HUD Radio, you get 10% off your order. So go check out Baggio's Bread in Mount Laurel, New Jersey. Our poll question for this afternoon show is permanently moving Bryce Harper to first base when he's cleared to throw is the right move. Do you agree or disagree? Let us know. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, that's where we're live. Everywhere you get your podcasts, we're there as well. Hit the like, subscribe, follow, join the conversation. And Mitch, what's up, brother? We're finally through all the craziness intro there, and it's great to do a show with you.
Oh, it's going to be fun, Tom. I look forward to doing this. I love to talk about baseball. I've even started watching the basketball playoffs, so I have an opinion on that. But for the poll question, I think if the Phillies want to get the most out of Bryce Harper over these next, what has he got, 9 years left on his contract, they have to move him to first base. Number one, he is an athlete. He is a baseball player. He is not just an outfielder. They did not sign him to play the outfield. They signed him because of his bat. So move him to first base where he doesn't have to expose his arm the way he does in the outfield because his mechanics are atrocious throwing the baseball.
And we're going to break down a little bit of that, a little side-by-side images, as we go on here. And the same with Arnone, we'll talk about him and his arm slot a little bit, looking back at last year in previous years. And then obviously looking at a little bit this year where I know Mitch is seeing a little bit of issues with it. Just to play devil's advocate, because I do agree with that point. I'm going to disagree in terms of, a couple of things. He's probably our best outfielder, right? Our best arm from the outfield. I'm not saying he's a great defender. I've always thought he may have been a little overrated defensively. That's probably a hot take. I know people out there really don't like anytime you're any bit critical of Bryce Harper. But I don't know if you're paying him, 10 years, 12 years, $300+ million to play him at first base, right? But like you mentioned before we came on, how many guys had the power numbers Bryce Harper does. So if you're trying to lengthen his career, right? That's probably the smartest decision to do.
Absolutely.
But over the next 4 to 5 years, let's say 3. Let's say the next 3 years, I want Bryce Harper in the outfield. And the main reason is because I don't want Kyle Schwarber in the outfield. So I'd rather Kyle Schwarber just be DHing because he hurts us in the outfield. So that's how I sort of look at it. But, maybe you can do that by going and signing somebody too, right? You can go sign a left fielder and handle that.
Absolutely. You can go out and find a left fielder that can play the outfield. You're not paying a left fielder as much as you're going to pay Harper to play the outfield. You are paying Harper to hit the ball out of the park and drive in runs. What drove me absolutely crazy was Stott started the season with an 18-game hitting streak. And as soon as Harper comes back, now you move Schwarber back into the leadoff spot. That to me is like hitting Incaviglia in front of Lenny Dykstra. You're taking away one of the biggest parts of Trey Turner's game, and that's his speed. So what has Trey Turner been trying to do? Because Schwarber hadn't been on base. Turner's trying to hit the ball out of the park. That's not his game. If Schwarber gets on in front of him, you can erase triples from Trey Turner's stat line because Schwarber ain't scoring. I don't believe I like anyone on this team as much as I like Kyle Schwarber. But numbers don't lie. Everybody wants to be into all these analytics. Here's some analytics for you. As a leadoff hitter, career, he hits .222 with a .317 on base, .515 slugging, .833 OPS. As a 4-hole hitter, he hits .275 with a .375 on base percentage, a .940 OPS, and a .563 slugging. It don't take rocket science to figure this out. I've lost you, Tom.
No, I'm back. I muted myself because I heard a bunch of banging upstairs. 2-year-olds flying around. He's excited over the new show. That's amazing because they try to sell you. And we talked about it when I stopped over at your house, right? And we talked a little bit about it. Like, there's other ways to go up 1-0. The Phillies want to try to sell you like, oh, well, the stats speak for it. Records speak to it that teams go up 1-0, are on the better end of winning than losing. Fine, I get that. But there's better ways to go up 1-0. There's other ways to go up 1-0, right? Trey Turner can hit a single, steal second, right? You get a ground ball to the right side. He's on third. Fly ball, you're up 1-0 that way too. So it's not always like, oh, it's got to be a leadoff homer to put me up 1-0. The reason you got Trey Turner and Bryson Stott was tremendous in the leadoff hole, and they moved them back yesterday, is that should be my 1-2 punch. Kyle Schwarber's a power hitter. He's a guy who's going to drive baseballs.
And what did he do yesterday hitting in the 5-hole? Hit a single, drove in a run, then hit a first pitch bomb off a left-hander. That's what, as a leadoff hitter, you want to see pitches. That's your job. See as many pitches as you can. Stott was seeing more pitches than anyone in baseball. And now you've messed with his confidence because he did what he did in the leadoff spot, and now you moved him down in the order. It was completely counterproductive to put Kyle back in that leadoff spot.
I couldn't agree more. And for why? Like that's the question, like where they get in their own way sometimes. All right. I know in June and July how Schwarber hits, but you're talking about a guy who hit 46 home runs last year and drove in 80 runs. It doesn't even make sense. It doesn't even add up. Right.
No.
If he's hitting 40, that's walking into 100 RBIs if you're in a power position, third, fourth, or fifth, right? You're going to walk into 100. So sometimes I think where they let the dockside guys and the khaki shorts, they let these guys get in the way of what's smart baseball. And what's smart baseball, you said it.
There's so many people that want to reinvent the game of baseball. Number one, the commissioner of baseball. He won't even give Harper time to put that brace on to protect his elbow when he gets on base. That's one of the faces of Major League Baseball, and you won't give him time to protect an arm that he just had Tommy John on. That tells you all you need to know about Rob Manfred.
He's hurt the game more than he's helped it.
Oh, he's killing it. That extra inning ghost runner, there's no way I would ever take a loss if that guy scored. If that was the case, I would turn around and throw to second base until I picked him off. It would be that simple.
Isn't Bryson Stott the definition of what a leadoff hitter's been throughout the history of baseball? Guy
Only
who works
for the last
counts,
120 years.
guy who fouls all pitches, works counts, right? Does all the things you want a leadoff hitter to do, especially starting a game off where he can see anywhere from 10 to 12 pitches in a B to get a game started. Now my whole dugout. So not that they don't know this already, right? Because there's tons of video, but now they see everything this guy has today. That's everything a guy has in 12 pitches.
Exactly. And it wasn't an accident. I said last year, after watching Bryson Stott's approach, I went to one game last year with a customer. And I said, the best player on this team, other than Harper, will be Bryson Stott. Before it's all said and done, Philadelphia, Stott will be a better second baseman and hitter than Chase Utley. He's already a better second baseman because Chase, God love him, he was a horrible second baseman.
He was. Careful what you say, Mitch. You know what I mean? Careful. You know, some guys you can never say anything wrong about. I dealt with that for years where I used to tell people like Ryan Howard's the carrier. Chase always sensational, but Ryan Howard carries you, right? Yeah. And I don't think people really understood that. Like with a carrier and a guy who loses a baseball like he does, strikeouts just come with it. They come with it.
I don't understand. Back when I played, if you struck out 100 times a year, it was unheard of. Now it's 200 times a year. They don't understand that putting the ball in play puts pressure on the defense. When you pressure defenses, they make mistakes. And let me clarify something before Philadelphia goes and crucifies me. I love Chase Utley. Chase Utley played the game of baseball the way the game was designed to be played. He just was not, he didn't have a strong arm at second base, and he just wasn't the greatest fielder. Would I take him on my team? 7 days a week, I would take Chase Utley.
Yeah, I mean, we can. This is what people don't understand what keeping it real is, right? Like you're allowed
I'm not trying to slam. I'm not trying to slam Chase. I'm trying to tell the people of Philadelphia just how good Bryson Stott can be.
And he can be. He can be sensational. He's so young. I mean, there's a reason, you know, Bryce Harper let him live with him right away, right? Because Bryce saw it. You know, Bryce saw it and wanted to say, hey, let me take you under our wing. Listen, we're going to take a quick commercial break brought to you by Philly Sports Trips. 24 seconds, family. Don't go anywhere. And we're coming right back. We'll continue Bryce Harper talk, Phillies talk, and a lot more.
Hey, Birds fans. Breaking news. The NFL schedule is being released on May 11th, and Philly Sports Trips is already taking deposits for what is sure to be an epic season ahead. Join us in Tampa, LA, Seattle, or when we get revenge in Kansas City. Not ready to fly? Then join us on a bus trip to DC or New York. Sign up now and make sure to mention A2D. Don't miss out on the best Philly fan experience anywhere. Philly Sports Trips customers stay at the best hotels and meet NFL and MLB legends, so book today to ensure that you do not get shut out.
Well, there you go. Philly Sports Trips, the best in the business. Go check them out. You're going to love it. And tons of Philly stuff coming up, too. So, you know, they got one in Denver, which would be a great ballpark to go check out. PNC Park in Pittsburgh. I've heard great things about it.
Beautiful ballpark. Trying
to get up there. And then they got a big one in Petco in San Diego, which is gorgeous. I mean, we took a cross-country trip one year with the family, and we went to go see a game in Arizona, and then we went to Petco. What a gorgeous place. I mean, San Diego is the perfect place to live. But
yeah, I only got to see Jack Murphy. I originally signed with the Padres out of high school. I never played in the big leagues, but I got to go to Jack Murphy, and it ain't Petco.
Petco, yeah.
Just like the Vet ain't Citizens Bank.
No, a little different, right?
Yeah, just a little bit different.
A little different. So let me ask you a question. We're talking about Bryce Harper. You know, obviously, our poll question, if you're just joining us, is permanently moving Bryce Harper to first base when he's cleared to throw is the right move. Do you agree or disagree? You can still vote on it. Let us know. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. That's where we're live. You know, Mitch agrees. It's the best move, not only for the Phillies, but for Bryce Harper. I just tried to disagree with it because I do think it's the best move, but it's agree to disagree radio. So, you don't want everything to be a campfire and kumbaya.
Exactly.
That being said, do you think if he went back into the outfield again, by his throwing motion, and we'll pull up some images here in a second, but by his throwing motion, do you think that he would have to get Tommy John again at some point in his career?
The first time I ever saw Bryce throw a ball from the outfield, I was on set and I said, he is going to blow his elbow out if he doesn't fix his mechanics. And this is the problem with baseball. All these guys are having Tommy John surgeries and coming back and not making any adjustments in the way they deliver a baseball. And if you don't, it's going to break again. It's that simple.
It's true. It's true. There's a reason that it went the first time, right?
Exactly.
Everything he does, Mitch, is so aggressive, right? And violent. Like his swings are violent, and I love that he's violent, right? But even his throwing, everything's just violent with it. Nothing he does. I don't want guys to not be violent. I want energy and effort with everything we do. But even his throwing motion is just violent. There's nothing he does that's just like
he does nothing halfway. I took my kids to meet him at Citizens Bank when Washington came into town. And the first thing I told him was, Bryce, running into the outfield wall doesn't keep you on the field. I said, you need to be on the field for your team to win, and the outfield wall is undefeated. It's never lost. So play the game hard, but you have to play the game smart. It's like now he's sliding feet first. I agree with that totally. It changes the way he has always played the game, but he's smart enough to know, for me to stay on the field, I can't slide head first anymore and risk re-injuring my throwing arm.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. And you're right. The wall is undefeated, right?
Yeah, it's never lost.
No, against Aaron Rowan, that everybody remembers that one. It's never going to lose. And that's why he was hurt so much early on in his career.
Exactly.
It was going 120 miles an hour with everything you did with no, I don't want to say no care, but he didn't care. He didn't care. If he ran into a wall, he didn't care. But when we're younger, right? When we're younger, those things we're willing to do more of, right? And as we get older,
we're 10 feet tall and bulletproof when you're 21 years old. Trust me, I was the same way.
And we adapt as we get older, right? We adapt, and I think he's adapting to that. I haven't seen him running the many walls here since signing, because I think he knows he needs to be on the field. Bryce has always had like little, sometimes the injuries he can't get away from, right? He gets hit in the face 2 years ago. Then he gets hit in the hand last year. So like some of his injuries are just fluke stuff that's happened to him.
Those are injuries doing what he's being paid to do, and that's hit. Any pitcher that gets up around a hitter's face, I'm sorry. Somebody on that team should have gone and got that pitcher. You have to protect your best player. Your best player gets hit in the face and he can't go get that pitcher. Somebody needs to go get him, because it's not right. In my entire career, I never hit anyone above the rib cage. Never.
And they called you the wild thing. Think about that.
Exactly. You have to have enough command to be able to pitch in and know how to pitch in. Just heaving it at someone's head, that ain't right, because that not only could be career ending, it could be life ending. And I would have never wanted that on my conscience. But if someone did that to one of my players, believe me, someone on their other team, on the other team, would have been wearing one in their ribs.
Well, you made me think of something. I want to ask your opinion on it. I've talked to I got a couple buddies that, are in the minor leagues, and, once like the pine tar stuff went away, where guys would put it on their fingers a little bit as pitchers, right? Like have a little bit of stickiness on, so they could grip it better, they could locate better, right? And I think what one buddy told me is once they banned any of those types of substances on your hands, he's like, hitters are nervous now, like, because hitters are nervous, the ball's slick. So he's like, it makes the hitters nervous. Hitters would rather the pitcher be able to locate it better than going up there thinking like, okay, is this pitcher going to get away from him? And 95 goes, into my nose. And we've seen a lot more guys get hit in the face than I think ever before. I don't remember seeing this many players through the last, let's say, 3 years that have been plunked in the face. Not just hit, everybody gets hit. But you talk about Justin Turner, you talk about Harper twice, one in the hand, one in the face. I know there's plenty other guys that I'm missing that have been hit, either hit in the face or hit, like you said, above the rib cage, right? Way more often than not.
The thing that people don't understand, if I take pine tar and put it on my fingertips and deliver the baseball, you can check that baseball. The second it crosses the plate, the umpire can pick it up. You will not find any pine tar on that ball. It does not change the integrity of the baseball. If you're spitting on it, putting KY on it, Vaseline on it, that changes the integrity of the baseball. Being able to grip it does not change the integrity of the baseball. It enhances the ability to locate, but I would love to take a poll of every hitter I ever faced and ask them, would you rather have Mitch Williams have pine tar on his fingers or have the baseball slippery? It would be a 99% vote for let him have a grip, please.
Yeah, what? Nobody wants that. Nobody wants that.
This is the part that's so stupid. Back when I played, you could not lick your fingers on the dirt. If I didn't have a good fastball, I walked behind the mound, I licked these two fingers, wiped off these two fingers on my pants, got on the ball on the mound, and threw a spitter. And all a spitter is, you grab no seams. When you have spit on your fingertips, you throw a fastball, it slips, takes rotation off the baseball, and the bottom falls out of it. That is more dangerous and more effective than letting a guy touch a pine tar rag and grab a baseball.
It's the truth. This is why we're gonna have a lot of fun, because we see eye to eye on a lot of baseball things, and we're taking you a little old school, but this is what the game is. This is what the game's been forever, and some things don't need to be changed, right?
Yeah.
But let's get into Bryce's like throwing mechanics, and I want you to sort of tell everybody out there what you see, and I also want you to get into a little history, a little previous to this, where you've talked about this with other Phillies players in the past, where people didn't want to believe you, and it turned out to be true. And I'll let you talk about that. I don't want to put words in your mouth with any of that stuff. But here's Bryce Harper, and I think this is spring training. This looks like a spring training photo. It looks like he was playing a little third base. But okay, Mitch, break this down for us.
All you have to do, look at his glove side. It's uninvolved. His right elbow is underneath his shoulder, which means he has east-west rotation when he's delivering the baseball. Anytime you have east-west rotation, look at the strain on his right arm right there, because it's below his shoulder. When he comes back, he has got to work on north-south, which means use your front side to pull down, which pulls your arm up, and you're able to throw the ball and not risk injury. I did a breakdown when I was at MLB Network, because Roy Halladay won the Cy Young in either 11 or 12 and finished second in either 11 and 12. Comes back in 13, getting rocked, absolutely rocked. So the producers at Major League Baseball Network came to me and said, do a breakdown on it. So I put 3 side-by-side pictures, 1 in 11, 1 in 12, and 1 in 13. I went to the edit people. I said, all I want you to do is draw a yellow line from his right ear to the tip of his fingers. In 11 and 12, the line was maybe this long, and his fingers were on top of the ball. In 13, he was here, His fingers were around the ball. His elbow was under the ball, which means you can get it to run, but you can't get it to sink. If you can't get it to sink, you can't get it off the barrel of the bat. The other thing was I said, Rich Doobie is getting paid to be a pitching coach and notice this stuff. Next day, comes out in the paper, Halliday says that Doobie's the best pitching coach he's ever had. And Doobie came out and said, we don't need no help from Mitch Williams. We know what we're doing, because I ended the breakdown with, if they don't fix this, he's going to break. His next start, he broke and never pitched again. And that, for me, falls on Doobie, period.
And what else about that too, Mitch, was his velocity took a big time dip from just the year before to the start of that year, because I remember just watching, like, he's not the same guy. Now, obviously, I'm not as deep into it at that point, especially pitching wise, as you were, to be able to just to see that immediately. And I know as fans, we were all talking about, like, what's up with Roy Halladay? He's not the same guy. I mean, just 6 months ago, the guy was lights out. And now starting this year, I mean, he never got hit like that at any point of his career. So
all it was his arm, his elbow being underneath his shoulder, and his fingers around the side of the baseball. I don't care what your release is. You can be 3/4, but this elbow better be as high as your shoulder, and your fingers better be on top of that baseball. If not, you can't get any ride out of a 4-seamer, and you can't get any sink out of a 2-seamer. It's just that simple.
yeah, it is. It is. It just makes sense, right? We're going to get into another guy, and just so everybody heard it, just join us. You know, our poll is based around Harper permanently moving to first base as his career goes, and once he's cleared to throw. That's what we're talking about to save him, right? Because we're, like
Exactly.
we said, we're not paying him to be a Gold Glove outfielder. We're paying him to lose baseballs, have 110 plus, 120 plus RBIs every year, and be a top 5 in the MVP conversation. That's what he's getting paid for. Anything else is just a bonus, right?
Exactly.
And you can get away with other things, right? We're probably not going to bring Rhys Hoskins back, even though I love Rhys in the locker room. I think a lot of people are like, oh, we can just, it's Derek Hall. It's cool. Like, he'll make up for what Rhys loses. No, because people don't understand in baseball, like football too, is that leaders matter. Your leaders matter, especially when they're productive. He was never not productive. He would walk into 30 home runs every year. I know his average wasn't good, but he was 30 homers, 100 RBIs. Every year you could count on Rhys Hoskins, and he was a vocal leader in that locker room. And I think we're going through a little bit of it now where we're trying to feel our way through on who are these guys going to be. So that being said, I don't think they bring Rhys back, even though I would really consider it in some way and figure that out. It doesn't mean Bryce can never play the outfield again. I don't think either one of us are saying that, but maybe once or twice in the outfield a week, maybe one time. He's not going to lose the ability to play the outfield. But what we're trying to do is lessen the blow on his arm and save him from himself.
Let me tell you something. He ain't a Gold Glove outfielder. You put him at first base, he could become a Gold Glove first baseman. He was a catcher in high school. The kid simply is a baseball player. I don't care where you put him. He is going to play that position and work his ass off to learn that position. And trust me, I played first base. It ain't hard. It's not a hard position.
I agree. I played there too. It's not like anybody can learn to play first base if you have a little 1-2. If you have a little 1-2 and you can catch a ball, you can play first base. The hardest thing is scooping, picking.
The biggest part of playing first base is being able to pick the ball. I watch so many professional first basemen stand up and try and swipe and pick a baseball at first base. When if you get your ass down, you can see the hop. I played with Mark Grace, one of the best first basemen ever. And he had Sean Dunston throwing 100 across the diamond to him and picking everything. Why? Because Gracie got down there to see the hop. You can't stand up and see it.
No, you can't. He can't. We're gonna come back. I'm gonna give a quick live read, and then we're on the other side of that. We're gonna break down Aaron Nola a little bit, and I want you to give everybody your thoughts on Aaron Nola and your concerns with Aaron Nola. But make sure everybody go books their trip with Philly Sports Trips. Hey, Birds fans, Tom Arnone with some huge news. The schedule is coming out next week. Make sure you go see my friends from phillysportstrips.com and reserve your spot today. You'll get to watch a Birds game in a great city and hang with former Eagles like Hollis Thomas, who you can catch every Friday, 5 o'clock, vetted on A2D Radio with Irvin Fryer. Philly Sports Trips books you at the best hotels and has the best birds available. I might have to change that part. You know you'll have a blast. Book now and tell them A2D sent you. phillysportstrips.com is where you can find them. So I know when we first talked about doing this show, you made my alarms go off. It was ringing. The siren was going off in my ear. I was so concerned about the stuff that you were bringing up about Aaron Nola, and I'll bring up an image as well of it too. But what are you seeing that's different in Aaron Nola, Mitch, in 2023 than what you've seen in Aaron Nola in the past?
Well, I've seen the same thing this year as I've seen in prior years. I firmly believe the reason the Phillies have not re-signed him is because of his arm slot. His arm slot is indicative of guys that are going to have Tommy John. He's very low with his elbow. Look at the bottom right picture. His front foot is down, and his hand hasn't even turned over, which means now it's a muscle move. The bottom left picture is not too bad. His head is great. His elbows as high as his shoulder. That's not too bad. And then you go to that top one. Look how far out in front of the baseball his elbow is. And his fingers are around the side of the baseball. That, to me, screams Tommy John is in his future. I firmly believe that that's the reason that the Phillies haven't re-signed him. He's done a hell of a job for this team for a long time, but they're not re-signing him for a reason.
You're spot on about this too, because you're talking about a guy who has been extremely durable, just like Roy, right? I'm not comparing Nola to Roy Halladay, who's an all-time great and a Hall of Famer, but durability-wise, I'm comparing the two. Nola takes the ball every fifth day, right? The guy doesn't miss games. He doesn't miss starts. His innings are always high. All right. He's been for not being a big velo guy. He's been a 200 strikeout guy almost yearly. So the durability is there. And he had a great year last year and sort of got some of the demons off of him that people thought he couldn't pitch in big games, A, B, C, and D. So everything led to us believing that there's no way the Phillies aren't going to give him whatever deal he wants and get him long-term locked up before the start of this season. So you saying that makes me really wonder, and I believe you anyway, right? But should make people really listen to what Mitch is saying right now, because everything in his past equals him getting a big deal. Yes. So why would the Phillies be a little reluctant right now to give him that deal?
It makes no sense, other than the fact when Aaron pitches well, his fingers are on top of the baseball. He's always going to be a three-quarter guy. That's how he is. He's got extremely strong lower half. If he starts down the mound too soon, and I think this 20-second clock is messing with him, especially with guys on base, because he feels like he has to rush. Well, anytime a pitcher starts to rush and break down on their back leg, it fires them down the mound, and now your arm is stuck behind you, and you have to blow your front side out to get to release. Where do you think his velocity is gone? That's where his velocity is gone, because he's not breaking. Everything as a pitcher should happen over the rubber. When your hands are here, your leg kick comes up. As soon as your leg kick gets to its highest point, your hands have to break over the rubber. If his hands are breaking late, which they do, now it's a muscle move and you're around the side of the baseball and you're underneath, and his breaking ball just becomes a big hanger. When he's on top, he's got a great breaking ball. His fastball, he locates when he's around the side of the ball, it doesn't sink. It might run, but again, If it runs flat and you can't get the ball off the barrel of the bat. That's why he gives up so many home runs. If all they did was get him to stay back a little longer, to allow him to get on top of the baseball with his fingers, he's a different pitcher. When he's going good, that's what he's doing.
Yes, Nick, we are talking about Nola. We're talking about Nola. Now, Mitch, the question back to that is, right, you get to this level, and you know how some of these guys are, right? Not calling Nola. I've had a few conversations with Aaron. I think he's a tremendous dude. But my question is, when you get to this level and something got you there, right? And whatever it is, and guys believe this is what got me there. So do you think pitching coach wise, organizational wise, that this has been brought up to him and it's something that's just a muscle memory thing that he can't fix? Or do you think it's something that was maybe never even brought up to him?
I would doubt that it's even been brought up to him. Judging by what happened when I did the breakdown on Halladay, they don't want to listen to anything. They want to listen to a clicker. This is the biggest farce in the history of baseball. You're going to pay pitchers $40 million a year and put their health in the hands of a $3 clicker. That to me is asinine. I don't care how many pitches you throw. The human body is not a machine. You don't wake up every day and feel the same. I had days where I could go out there and throw 200 pitches. I did it in high school. 200 pitches in a 7-inning game. If you're not breaking down on your backside and you're still maintaining your mechanics, you can throw as long as you're doing that. One day you might wake up and you don't feel good, and your mechanics start to break down after 50 pitches, but the pitch limit's 100. So you let one of your big name pitchers that doesn't feel as good as he should that day throw 50 more pitches with bad mechanics. That is bad business. Horrible business.
Oh, it is. It is. And it's, I just can't believe that they wouldn't notice it and try to address it and try to help. I don't know why they wouldn't. I think that's their job. If I'm a pitching coach, I'm looking to help my players, right? Not just go and walk the other way. You know, why are you a pitching coach? Kevin Long, one of the best hitting coaches in baseball. Guys come here and guys listen to him. And we know this, like we just talked about, with big leaguers, it is hard, especially as a hitting coach too, to get guys to buy in, right? To buy into what you're saying, to buy in the change. None of that stuff's easy. And even a guy like Christian Pache was a highly talented prospect around baseball for years. I mean, talks of like the next Andrew Jones, which is crazy talk, but talks on the land of the next Andrew Jones. Goes to Oakland. Obviously, nobody's going to be successful in Oakland. We trade for him. He gets here. He gets under Kevin Long for a month. I mean, a month. And a guy shows signs of life with the bat. And I think if you're willing to come here and you're willing to listen to guys who are respected, I think you get the results, right? I think Nicky C. I mean, Nicky C's got a ton of money, right? He's had success. He doesn't have to listen to anybody, but you can see him listening to Kevin Long. So
you want to know why?
Yeah.
Because guys like that just want to succeed. And if there's a guy sitting in that dugout that is doing his job and he's a damn good at his job like Kevin Long is, guys are going to listen because, quite frankly, when you go out on the field and you suck, it ain't fun. I watched video of every single outing I ever had. I pitched in 640-something games, I think. Every single day, I went to the video room right after the game was over to make sure my mechanics were where they were supposed to be. And it's just not that hard to do. It's your job to do that. And the pitching coach, I'm not even sure what the pitching coach's name is with the Phillies. But I can tell you this, he made Alvarado what he is because Alvarado never got to his backside. Now he's getting to his backside before he starts down the mound, and you're seeing what he is capable of doing.
Caleb Cotham. I think I said his last name right. That's the Phillies pitching coach. But he did. And Alvarado, Alvarado is a great story too. Guy was lights out in Tampa, comes here, can't,
He couldn't throw the ball over the plate.
Couldn't throw it over the plate, went to the minors, fixed something, and came back and was electric. And it doesn't happen all the time. It says about his mental makeup too. The ability to go down there, eat a little bit of crow, get it right, and come back and be sensational like he was down the stretch. Ryan Sloop says, I love Framber Valdez. Have Mitch speak about him. He should be a great example of a guy to talk about. Yeah, what would you like him to speak about, Ryan?
I'm confused on who Framber Valdez is. I don't know that I've seen him.
He's with the Astros. He's the lefty with the Astros.
Oh, yeah.
We'll talk about him a little bit, next week. Ryan,
yeah.
keep tuning in, baby. Keep tuning in, and we'll get the Framber a little bit next week. But yeah,
the comment at the bottom of the screen that says, "I hardly believe Middleton won't let this happen because Nola has been a workhorse, but maybe they want him to wear out so they don't have to spend $100 million on him." Guess what? If Aaron Nola hits the open free agent market, someone's giving him $200 million. It's easy, $200 million, based on what he's done. The reason the Phillies haven't spent that money is there's a concern. That's all there is to it. His arm slot is a concern because from game to game, he's not repeating it. You see him go out there and go 8 shutout innings, and the next game he'll go out there and go 4 innings and get lit up. That's mechanics. It's just simple as that.
Now, do you have a concern about the velocity? Not that he's a big velo guy anyway. And why I always believed in Aaron Nola is he was able to get it. He's able to get it done without being a guy that's hitting 98, 99, etc. But the velocity is definitely down this year. Do you attribute that to a really long season last year that he's not really used to, or do you attribute it to what could be coming for him coming maybe in the future with his arm?
I attribute it to mechanics. It all comes back to mechanics. There's a lot of pitching coaches out there that claim to be pitching coaches that teach drop and drive on your back leg. The minute you drop on your back leg, it forces your body down the mound. You can't stop it. And Aaron does that a lot. He doesn't get all the way up and back before he starts down the mound. Like I said, everything has to happen over that rubber. If it doesn't, you're going to muscle the ball to the plate. And when you start muscling, and how old is Aaron now? 27, 28?
I feel like he's 30 now. Hold on, let me look. I feel like he's 30. Could be wrong. 29. So
29. I've done so many breakdowns on guys back at MLB. Now, you remember Joel Zumaya?
Yeah.
A Detroit radio station did an interview with me and asked me about Zumaya. I said, "Oh, this kid throws hard, but he's Tommy John waiting to happen." First week of the season that year, Tommy John. I've never seen him again. And all they had to do was fix his mechanics. And there's 4 steps to mechanics. Set your feet, set your hands, get all the way up and back, and drive your nose. That's the mechanics throwing a baseball.
Yeah, it's the truth. I don't know why the Phillies wouldn't be trying to fix his mechanics, but you're right. I mean, whenever it's dropping and the curveball is like a little, hangs like a little wiffle ball, hangs up in the zone, he gets hammered. His changeup hangs up in the zone, gets hammered. When his stuff's working down and not working, like you're saying, across, he's successful. He's hard to hit. He's hard to read. He's got great stuff. But you can see it when that curveball is just hanging up there, this isn't going to be a good outing.
Oh, you can see the hitter's eyes just completely light up. It's one of those things. Hitters see everything, and pitchers need to realize that. If there's anything in your delivery that tips a pitch, they will find it. I played against a guy named Marty Barrett, who I ended up getting in a fight with Boston. By the second inning of every game, he had the third base coach's signs for the other team. That's how intricate the game used to be.
Yeah.
And now it's all about analytics, this, that, and the other. I don't even know what 90% of those acronyms stand for.
I don't know either.
The only acronym I care about was the W's and the L's. That's the only one I cared about. And I pitched for 15 years professionally, 11 in the big leagues. I threw a baseball every day as hard as I could throw it. I didn't get stiff. I didn't get sore. But I also did it because Tom House, who is absolutely the best quarterback coach in the country, the best pitching coach in the country, because he's a kinesiologist. He knows how the body works. I would have never thrown a pitch in the big leagues if it wasn't for Tom. But I did it mechanically right. Everyone wanted to say, my mechanics, I don't care. I used to tell kids that I teach, I don't care if you burst into flames after you let go of it, as long as before you let go of it, you're mechanically sound. I fell off way to the third base side. Well, people didn't know in 1990 I tore my posterior cruciate ligament in my knee. I never had it fixed. I pitched 30 days later and pitched the rest of my career with it. But when I got to a certain point in my delivery, my front leg collapsed. So I had to put my glove down or land on my face. So there's ways around everything. As long as you're mechanically sound before you let go of the ball, you're going to have the movement, you're going to have the location. His breaking stuff is going to be much sharper. I would suggest to Aaron, and I love him because what you said, he takes the baseball. That's what I love about him. He needs to go back and look at video of Roy Halladay in 11 and 12 and then look at him in 13. It'll show him everything he needs to protect himself against.
Yeah, and I hope this, and I know you do too, right?
Yeah.
We hope this doesn't happen, right? We hope it doesn't. It's avoidable right now.
Absolutely.
And it's about fixing it. And I know he starts this week, and maybe we'll see something a little bit different because his last outing in Houston was good. And then did he pitch again since Houston? I don't know if he pitched again since Houston. Why do I feel?
Yeah, he had a 5-1 lead in his last start.
Was that against the Dodgers, right? Was that the Dodgers game?
Yeah, Dodgers at home. And they ended up losing the extra innings.
That's right. Yep. So, and when we come back after, we're going to take a quick commercial break brought to you by Phillies Sports Trips in 1 second. And we'll talk about the concerns of this entire staff right now. And some reinforcements coming in one Ranger Suarez, hopefully sooner than later. We'll talk a little about Andrew Painter. And I'll tell you a little story about him when I got a chance to see him pitch when he was 17 down in Georgia. Pretty good. Pretty good guy. And we'll talk about the Phillies' upcoming week. Got to start playing good baseball immediately. And we got Joel Embiid conversation at the end of the show as well. So don't go anywhere. And we're brought to you by Philly Sports Trips. Go ahead.
Hey, Birds fans. Breaking news. The NFL schedule is being released on May 11th, and Philly Sports Trips is already taking deposits for what is sure to be an epic season ahead. Join us in Tampa, LA, Seattle, or when we get revenge in Kansas City. Not ready to fly? Then join us on a bus trip to DC or New York. Sign up now and make sure to mention A2D. Don't miss out on the best Philly fan experience anywhere. Philly Sports Trips customers stay at the best hotels and meet NFL and MLB legends, so book today to ensure that you do not get shut out.
I was reading the comments as we're off. Nick says to Mitch, I've heard enough. Hire Mitch as a pitching coach immediately.
No, baseball doesn't like me at all. When you have to sue Major League Baseball and you beat them, They don't have jobs for you at the back end of that.
Their loss. Their loss.
I'll happily teach kids how to do it. Makes no difference to me.
Oh, and you've done a great job of that, through your time. So Phillies earned run average of the team is 26 in baseball. I know their starters earned run average is even higher than that. Not good at all. I mean, Walker had a good outing the other night or yesterday, which is huge because you need him. You need him to. Nola and Wheeler have been spotty at best right now. Falter's not good enough to be a starter.
Bailey Falter, he got the first 9 guys out, and then the next 9 get on. That's just lack of concentration, lack of location. And to me, he's only throwing 90, 91 miles an hour, which on that striker gun, that ain't much. Believe me, if you're going to pitch at 90 or 91, you have to be able to throw the ball over a dime. And he just couldn't the other day. I'll talk a little bit about elevating the baseball. We talked about this the other day, Tom. Pitchers don't know how to elevate. You don't elevate, throw a high fastball in, and you don't throw a high fastball away, because a hitter can recognize in, they can recognize away. But if you're throwing a fastball right down the middle at the top of the catcher's helmet, they can't lay off it. They can't trust that it's not going to have any downhill to it. So they swing through it. And that's exactly what happened to Falter the other day. He tried to elevate, and elevating is not letter high. Elevating is the top of the catcher's mask.
It's the truth. I mean, you see it all the time, right? You see it all the time. We'll go 0-2. Like, we'll just talk about like the travel world and high school baseball, right? But you see it all the time. 0-2, you go all speed low. You go back to that fastball, located well up in the zone, and guys can't lay off. They can't lay off of it. And if you can locate it consistently, man, I mean, you have a lot of success. You'll have a lot of success.
People won't believe this, but I struck out Matt Williams one night where my catcher jumped for the baseball. I struck out Corey Schneider doing the same thing. All it has to be is down the middle and up. But like I said, Falter, this guy right here, Ryan Swope, he's exactly right with his comment. Ryan, you're absolutely right. He does not have a put-away pitch. One of the first things I would have taught him is a split, because a split is a fastball that the bottom falls out of. You don't have to change your mindset. That circle change, a circle change is only good if you can maintain the exact same arm slot and arm speed when you throw it. The reason a split works and not a forkball, a forkball is a slip pitch where you do not have any seams. A split is where you have a seam on that knuckle, and all you're doing is throwing a fastball, and the bottom falls out of it. Hitters swing at arm speed. It's that simple.
It's the facts. It's the facts. Now, do you think this pitching staff? We'll just talk about the starters, right? The bullpen's done a way better job. I still would like some guys in roles. We'll save that for topics for another Monday, right?
Yeah.
But we go another hour on that one. But do you think this pitching staff gets it right? Do you think getting Ranger Suarez back will be a huge addition? But do you think that the two aces at the top of this staff, did those two guys figure it out, or are we in for a long season with those two?
No, I think they figure it out. I think Zach Wheeler is another one with his kick leg. He picks his kick leg up out in front of himself. If all he did was take his kick leg and pick it up actually towards the shortstop.
Okay.
As soon as he gets to the top of that fall, you're already back. he gets out in front of himself a lot and it flattens his fastball out and it doesn't have any depth to it. When he's throwing the ball good is when he is up and back before he starts down the mound, because now you have downhill to your fastball. You have to make your fastball change planes. And when your lower half leaves, the fastball comes in flat.
Seems easy enough, right?
Honest to God, Tom, I don't understand it. It is so simple to teach. I coached.
I mean, you saw it in 5 seconds. I mean, you were able to describe it in 5 seconds to me, right? And I understood exactly what you were saying, and I believe all our listeners did too.
It's just they want to make it hard. I took an 8-year-old team to a tournament. In 4 games, my 8-year-old pitchers walked 2 guys.
Wow.
Taught every one of them the exact same mechanics for one reason. I want them to be healthy at 18. I don't give a damn about winning an 8-year-old game. I want these kids to be healthy when they're grown men.
It's the truth, right? It's the
Yeah.
truth. Teach them the right way. And if you teach them the right way when they're younger, right, those mechanics stay with these guys as they grow, right? And they remember, because it's the muscle memory of it that's so important, especially when you're a younger kid learning from a guy like you. And if they're soaking it in and they're sponges, like most little guys are at that age, it stays with them. It stays with them. And that's huge. I mean, I've coached AU before. I mean, 2 walks in a tournament is insane.
It is
insane. I mean, 2 walks in a game's great. You don't walk 2 guys in a game in AU, you're praising your pitchers.
What I see with these guys is they have to be willing to go in and watch video. Good, bad, or indifferent, video does not lie. And
undefeated.
Yeah, and the pitching coaches, they have to be more a part of what is going on. The clicker, I can tell you right now, Leo Mazzoni with the Braves, Leo told me when he had Glavine, Smoltz, Avery, they'd come up to him in the dugout and go, "How many pitches I got, Leo?" It'd be the 6th inning, and he'd go, 42. He wouldn't touch that clicker for 2 innings. He knew good mechanics when he saw him. He's not going to let a clicker dictate to him when he's going to take a pitcher out of a ball game. He knows the mechanics of throwing a baseball. And if you don't belong in anywhere in baseball, much less in the big leagues, because I don't care who you are. As a professional pitcher, a major league pitcher, you are going to get in a funk at some point. And there has to be somebody on that bench that can tell you what you're doing wrong. And I just don't see it happening.
No. And you wonder, like you said, I wonder what track records, right? And a lot of that matters to these guys. Like, I don't think guys poo-poo Kevin Long. I wonder if guys poo-poo Caleb. I don't know. I don't have that answer. I don't want to assume stuff, right? The guy's a big league pitching coach. I would hope that, he's respected and his thoughts and opinions are translating to these guys, but you never know. I'm hoping maybe we get, and I'll ask you this, if we see Andrew Painter with the big league squad at any point this year?
Honestly, I don't know. He's only 19, right? I have not even seen this kid throw. I didn't see a spring training game. I started watching the Phillies when the season started. But I look back on it. I am not going to get hired as pitching coach anywhere. No one's going to hire some guy with a nickname Wild Thing. But they also should look back and see how many games I missed due to arm injury in my career. And that added up to 0. I missed 30 days with a torn PCL on my knee, but nothing with my arm. And what bothers me, I coached youth baseball for 5 years. I coached independent baseball for 3 years. I never had one pitching injury ever, simply by teaching the proper way to throw a baseball. And I can't take credit for that because I was taught by Tom House. And I give him all the credit for my career. But he knew what he was talking about. And that's why I never got sore, stiff. My first 3 years in the big leagues, I threw in 80 games my first year, 85 games my second year. And then I got screwed out of an incentive by Bobby Valentine. He sat me for 2 weeks, so I couldn't reach my incentive. I pitched in 232 games in 3 years. Every game I didn't pitch in, I threw a 50-pitch bullpen every single night. I was available every night. And now the guys just don't throw enough. You walk every day, do you not?
Mm-hmm.
Do your legs hurt?
Mm-mm. No.
Exactly right. I threw every day. That's why I wasn't sore. That's why I wasn't stiff. They don't throw enough. They're put on a pitch count. I'll give you a perfect example of why you don't go by a pitch count. Back in 2008, Pedro Martinez was pitching against the Dodgers in the postseason. 8 shutout innings, and Charlie took him out. I sat there in my living room going, that is the biggest mistake Charlie could have made. And I love Charlie to death. I love this man. But the entire Dodger dugout was doing somersaults because they didn't have to face this guy again. Brought in a reliever, 2-run homer, game tied. That is why you have to take into account what the other team is doing against that pitcher. Pedro wasn't tired. He was out there locating his fastball and throwing that changeup, and they could not sniff him. The minute he came out of the game, it electrified the Dodger dugout.
Yeah, and then they tied it up, right?
Yeah.
Took the lead.
And that's when who hit the big home run?
Stairs.
Matt Stairs.
Yep. Into the night.
And let me tell you, people, the ball he hit and where it landed at night, the baseball does not carry at all in LA because there's so much dew in the air. So that was a bomb.
Nobody talks about that either. Like the dew in the air, and it's not. We're not playing in Colorado. That thing might have landed in another state.
There's no question.
It's just funny how that works. I did get a chance to see. It's funny. I did get to see Andrew Painter down in Georgia one time at a perfect game event down there, and he was everything that he is now. He looked the part. I think he was 6'5" at the time at 17. Fastball.
He's a tall, skinny kid, correct?
Yeah. And fastball was electric. I mean, we took a really good team down there, and our guy was a Division I arm, and that was like a 1-0 game then for like 5 innings. And then our guy lost his steam, and we went to our lefty, and then they opened it up there. But he shut us down. I think we had 1 hit in that game.
I know he hurt himself in spring training. What he hurt?
It's the same thing that leads to. I'm not the smartest guy when it comes to that. I'm gonna look up the exact injury on what it was, but it was the same thing that can lead to Tommy John down the road. It was a sprain of
UCL.
I think it was a UCL sprain. Let me get the exact thing. I don't want to lie to people.
If it's a sprained UCL, that has everything to do with his lower half.
Yep. Sprained UCL in the throwing elbow.
Okay. That tells you all you need to know. He is not getting up and back and getting to release before he starts down the mount. Especially being a tall guy. Tom House taught me, because I'm 6'4". I used to set my hands at my waist and break my hands at my waist. Well, you can't get your arm going when you set there. Tom moved my hands up here, and then when I got to the top of my leg kick, I broke. And basically how I teach kids, when your leg gets all the way up and back, break your hands and look at your watch. because that is the position. It's here and down, and now you're pulling down. Your front side pulls your back side through like this. You start doing this, there's where Tommy John comes from.
Makes
It
sense.
has nothing to do with the number of pitches. It has everything to do with the way they are thrown.
Oh, it makes a lot of sense. So the Phillies this week have 6 games. It's a 2-piece versus the Blue Jays. Starts tomorrow night at home, and then they have Colorado comes to town for 4 games. And listen, we still got a long season left. This is a marathon. I try to tell people this every year. It's a marathon of a season, a baseball season. You got time to figure it out. But this homestand is very important. They didn't get off to a great start with Boston, losing 2 out of 3. You're able to save the game yesterday, win a baseball game. But now you got 6 Blue Jays. Tough team coming in. They swing it, and with the way our pitching's been, it's not ideal. And then the Rockies come to town for 4. So I look at this is at minimum I got to go 4-2. Where do you stand with this upcoming homestand, Mitch, to get this team playing better baseball? And then we'll get into Joel talk before we get out of here.
The way I feel about the Phillies right now, Rob Thomson needs to stop messing with the lineup. The lineup he put on the field yesterday, that should be the lineup. You got a guy hitting over 300 in the 8-hole. Left hand, he's got the ability to go left, right, left, all the way down the order. That's a bird's nest on the ground. Every manager wants that, because with this rule that a reliever has to face 3 hitters, which is absolutely absurd too.
Yeah.
When I played, we carried 10 pitchers, 5 starters and 5 relievers. They got 9 relievers. I don't even know how that's possible. You can't get them enough work. I would ask to be changed to first base. If I'm only going to pitch once every 3 days, I started in the minor leagues. It gave me 5 days to figure out how I was going to screw up my next start. I went to winter ball. They figured out I could throw every day, became a reliever. It ain't about, with young kids, it's not about taking them out every 5th day. It's about getting them out there and teaching them how to deal with adrenaline and still maintain their mechanics.
It's so true. It's so true. Now everything's babied, right?
Yes.
It's totally babied. So yesterday's lineup, which you talked about, Stott, Turner, Harper, Nick, Schwarbs, JT, Alec, Marsh, Sosa. I mean, that's a well put together lineup there.
Yep. I mean, look at Alec Boehm. Alec Boehm is doing a hell of a job.
Love it.
He is a tremendous hitter, and look at where he's hitting in that lineup. Oh,
Yes,
how about Marsh?
7th, Marsh is 8th, and Sosa is just what a great pickup. Both Sosa and Marsh were last year by Dave Dombrowski. Both under the radar pickups, and both are tremendous. Both hitting over 300. Marsh and Sosa.
The only change I would make, I would move JT down. I would have Marsh or Boehm.
So would you slide Boehm up 1 to the 6-hole and move JT down to the 7?
Yes. Then you got Schwarber left, Boehm. He could move Marsh, put JT in the 8-hole. Then you have left, right, all the way down to the 8-hole.
All the way. Yup, all the way. This is the best lineup they can put together.
Yes.
The only thing the only thing I would tinker with if they wanted to, and I wouldn't even do it, would be Turner Stott. But Turner hitting the 2-hole all last year with LA. So I mean, that's not even it's not like it's not a comfort zone for him. He doesn't have to lead off. So
anybody that's worried about Trey Turner not producing, you can stop worrying. I'm telling you that Schwarber hitting in front of him absolutely killed his game, because if Kyle wasn't on base, now Trey's trying to hit home runs. It's not that way. Trey can handle the bat. Stott gets on base. I always viewed it this way, Tom. A two-hole hitter, if your leadoff guy gets on base as a two-hole hitter, when your at bat's over, he better be standing on second.
Mm-hmm.
That's your job. And Trey can handle a bat. He can hit behind a runner. Use him to hit and run. Hit and runs lead to more triples because it takes it out of their head whether or not I'm swinging.
Pressure is the key too, right? Put pressure on teams. We're supposed to be a team. We're supposed to be a team that runs the bases. We're supposed to be a team that steals bases. Getting Trey Turner, there's people that were messing me. He might steal 50 bags this year. I said, all right, well, let's calm down with 50 bags because they don't run as much as we used to in the game. But this is a lineup that can run. And the fact that they're 25th or 26th in stolen bases, I don't love that. I got like Turner can run. I got a guy like Marsh who can run. JT can run. Stock can run. I mean, there's guys who can run. So it doesn't have to sit around. This lineup is not built to sit around and wait for a 3-run homer. This lineup is built the pressure. Hit and run, steal bases. You got guys who handle the bat great. I mean, Alec Boehm handles the bat sensationally. He's a guy who doesn't strike out. He's an in-out swing. He likes to use the big part of the field a lot more than most hitters do. And if most hitters did that more, they'd be more successful. But I always say, when Bryce Harper's about to get scorching hot, right? Because what does he do? Yeah. He loses a baseball to left field. And it's coming. All right, hit a ball away for a homer, 375, and now the homers are going to come in bunches for him. It's pretty basic on what happens with hitters to get him hot, but I don't think we've done enough things to help a lineup that hasn't hit well enough with runners in scoring position, right? We haven't done enough to help that out managerial-wise, in my opinion.
Not because you don't pressure the defense. I'll give you a perfect example. When I managed the Atlantic City Surf, I had a kid that could mortally fly. I put him in the 2-hole. His best average before he got released from organized baseball was 200. Every single time the leadoff hitter got on in front of him, I hit and ran with him. You know what he hit for an average? 396. You know what he told me? I'm not coming back there. I don't want to hit and run. I go, that's your choice. You hit 396 for the season because I took the question out of your mind whether or not you were swinging the bat.
Yeah,
some guys just don't get it.
No, we know the mind's the most powerful thing. I mean, I talk about hitters all the time, calm and confident, right? If I'm going up there and I'm hoping that I make contact or drive a baseball, good luck. Because you got to go up there believing that you're going to drive a baseball, and you're going to have a lot more success. We don't swing hoping.
You don't wish.
We swing knowing. Yeah, we swing knowing.
My father told me when I was really young, and I don't know if you can curse on this podcast.
Curse away. Yes, you absolutely can.
My father would say, okay, wish. You wish in one hand and shit in the other and see which one gets full first.
I love that. I know we're going to get in Joel Embiid in 1 second, and we're going to get out of here. But before I get into Joel, so I don't forget, because I wanted to ask you this. Who was and I think I know the answer to this, but who was your favorite teammate when you played for the Phillies?
It was a toss-up, really. I love Dutch. He was the only leader I ever played with. And Crucky and I went back we started with the Padres. I was 17 years old when I got signed, and Crucky had signed a year before. So I've known Crucky longer than I've known anyone in baseball. But Dave Hollins is truly one of my best friends. He was an absolute psycho on the field and wanted to win at all costs, but that's the way I was. So there was a bunch of guys on that team that were good friends.
Yeah, that's great. There's sort of the names I thought you were going with, right? If I had to guess, but I wanted the people that are listening to hear it. We had a great, I mean, it was about a year ago, I think. We had Lenny on, and it was a ladies' show, and it was aggressive. That's all.
I can tell you
it was aggressive.
I can tell you this, and I mean this with my whole heart. Lenny could walk by me on fire, and I wouldn't piss on him to put him out. smartest baseball player I ever played with and the dumbest human I've ever met. It's unbelievable that man that smart on a baseball field could be that ignorant off it.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. Love watching him play.
Oh,
Like I did all you guys. Loved it. Remember it vividly. That whole season is still remember vividly by me. And I was 11. 11. I remember. This is what you guys did, though. This is what you guys did. And I want you to understand it as a guy that loves the game more than anything in the world, right? Besides my family, but loves the game of baseball. That I don't remember a lot when I was little. None of us do, right? But I remember I had every one of your guys' cards, baseball cards, right? And before the games in the NLCS, I'm lining the cards up to what the lineup was. I had all the pitchers in one spot. I vividly remember that, and vividly remember that entire season. It's crazy. It's crazy. But you guys helped me turn me into the type of baseball player I was, which was 100 miles an hour, which is trying to be the best teammate people would ever play with, right? And playing the game a certain way with toughness. I think you guys helped a big generation of players in this area, play the game the right way.
Well, the one thing I'll say about that team, I don't care how many innings we had to play every night. If it was 9, we played 9 innings as hard as we could play. I'll give you an example. Kevin Stocker's first game in the big leagues. I came in with a 1-run lead, promptly blew the save. The game went 20 innings.
I remember it.
His Stocker's first game in the big leagues was 20 innings. Crucky came in after the 18th inning, and he knew I was up in the video room. And Crucky looked at John Vukovic and Boa and said, I hope he's drunk and dies in a car wreck on the way home. Because Crucky had to play all 20 of those innings.
He's the best.
If we had Crucky on here, oh my gosh, it would be.
Well, we're going to do that. We're going to have to do that sometime. You know what I mean? We'll do it in the off season when he's not as busy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This time of the year is hard for him, I'm sure. So we'll it'll be something we'll work on for the off season. There's a lot of great guys. You talked about Tom House for a while. That's a guy that we'll work on getting on here at some point. I mean, the things he did for Jalen Hurts, it's remarkable. Remarkable in 1 year, the transformation.
It's so funny. I went on WIP last year, and I said, if Jalen Hurts goes to Tom House in the offseason, you will see a completely different quarterback next year. And it was just absolutely true. The guy is a wizard at teaching footwork, mechanics, all of it. It's just, you just have to be around the right person to learn the right things.
And I'm sure we'll have our Eagles conversations throughout this and Jalen Hurts conversations. But when you have a want to, right? I say this all the time. When you're talented, being talented is one thing. But if you're talented and you have a want to,
yeah,
sky's the limit. And we watched it. We just watched it with a kid who's not as gifted as every other quarterback that we've seen, right? But has a want to be great. And if you have that and you're around the right people, like you said, these are the results.
I will bet you everything I own, there isn't a quarterback in the NFL that works harder than Jalen Hurts, because he is not as gifted as far as passing the ball. He's much better now, but the work he put in is, he deserves every nickel of that contract he just signed.
And guys like myself that watched him play in college knew he was a tremendous leader. Like the off the field stuff, I knew what we were getting. But the whole city burned down on draft night, not because we didn't like the kid, right?
Right.
It's because we just signed a quarterback to a $100 million deal. So we were all confused. So it was all, we didn't know which direction we were going. But Howie Roseman, another homer. But before we get out of here, one more thing in Philly sports. Joel Embiid. I wanted you to talk a little bit about Joel Embiid. Always being on the ground. Anytime I get on the ground with my 2-year-old, it hurts. So I couldn't imagine falling to the ground consistently.
This is what bothers me about Joel Embiid. He is ultra talented. He hurt himself in game 3 of the Nets series. He had to have been on the floor 15 times.
Easy.
My daughter was an all-state basketball player. The first thing I ever taught her, stay off the floor. That's where you get hurt. Joel didn't get hurt by another guy. He got hurt because he flopped. 7 foot, 285 pounds. If I was that big, no one is getting me to the floor.
Do you want to laugh? So when they first drafted him, this is what I heard. I don't know if this is true. We talked about it on Agree to Disagree 2 Sundays ago, and it turned into a big thing on Sunday. But I said, like, early on, they were teaching him how to fall, so it was less pressure on his feet and his knees. Wait, what?
How about you teach him to stand up? That's the thing. It's infuriating. I know how talented he is as a jump shooter, all that. But why is he not down on the block abusing Al Horford in this series?
All the time?
Yesterday, Al Horford schooled him in the 4th quarter. And granted, Joel is dealing with that injury. He ran out of gas in that game yesterday. I thought he played a good game. He wasn't on the floor anywhere near as much as he had been in the Nets series. So if he stays on his feet, he's going to stay healthy.
He avoids injury. You're 100% correct. Every time he's been hurt outside of, the elbow.
The elbow that broke his orbital bone.
Yeah.
That can't be helped. But the lower body, the back injuries, when you're 7 feet tall and that heavy, hitting that floor, it can't be fun. And it ain't healthy.
Mitch, he just did it the other night. When he stepped on Grant Williams' face by accident and he landed right on his tailbone again, we were like, oh my goodness, dude! Like now you're grabbing your tailbone. Like stay off the ground. You're not landing on grass. You're not on dirt on a baseball field. You're landing on like essentially concrete. You're essentially playing the game on concrete. The only time I want you guys on the floor is for loose balls. That's the only time NBA players should be on the floor.
And it better be with nobody else around them. Because if you're going for a loose ball and someone dives on top of you, look what happened to the kid the other night when 280 pounds landed on his face and crushed his teeth.
Yeah.
It's just not healthy. It's not productive. They need him in the game. He has to stay on his feet.
Always.
And Harden has to stop deferring to Joel. James Harden can shoot the basketball. We saw that yesterday.
Yeah, we did.
The only 2 wins in this series are because Harden did what he's capable of doing.
Exactly. If you just get a Robin to the Batman, this team's hard to beat. So if it's Harden on a given night, if it's Tyrese, so I think the moment's a little too big for him right now. But he's okay. I got a high upside for Tyrese Maxey down the road. But right now, this is tough too, right? A little bit for him. He's 21 years old.
But Maxey did something in the Nets series. He drives the basket really well. In the Nets series, he took off for the basket. Here come the defense. He planted, stopped. All the defenders went by him, makes the layup. Boston has blocked how many of his shots? All he's got to do is plant that foot, let them fly by, and he'll have an easy layup. I ain't no basketball coach by any stretch of the imagination, but I have eyes and can see what they're doing. They know he's going to go to the basket, and they know he can't get that shot above him.
No, I mean, he must have got. I thought we were playing in the wilderness yesterday. In the 4th quarter, I'm like, are they going to block another shot? Like, they're not a team that. I mean, they're a team that's lengthy, but they don't have a big man that blocks shots, right? I mean, the Nets are probably more lengthy than they are. So it's like, how are we getting all these shots blocked to the rim by Tatum and other guys? Where you're right, and PJ Tucker did a great thing yesterday.
When he aired out Embiid, I wanted to give him a standing ovation. Because I know exactly what he was saying. He was saying, stop being a puss and play the game.
He said, nobody on the court can stop you. Go be you. Go be aggressive. And
Yes.
I think part of it is like he missed 13 days, and now he's played 3 games, and yesterday was a ton of minutes for him too. It's a lot. I think he played 47. So there's no excuses here, even though I consider the guy my son. But there's no excuses, right? I think a little that's the conditioning. I think that's why Horford got the best of him late in that game.
But it's absolutely. I mean, Joel just got tired. I don't question his effort. I don't question his effort like a lot of people do. I question his smarts. When to do what, and when to take over a game, and when we had Horford here. He couldn't play dead in the Western here. and now he's blocking Joel's shots. That all came down to Joel just couldn't jump anymore in the fourth quarter. He was tired.
That's where you just say, hey, get in the paint, get down low, get on the block. We'll work from there out. And listen, he didn't have a good fourth quarter, didn't have a good overtime, but sensational pass to James Harden in the corner there.
Absolutely.
So, as bad as he wasn't a closer per se in the fourth and in the overtime, that's a great look. His game's evolved. I mean, and you watch it. I mean, the guy used to be a dog on a hardwood floor when you ran the double at him. He didn't know what to do. He would panic. Now he's calm with it. He allows it to come at him, and he's making the right passes. Listen, the fact that this series is 2-2 says how much better of a basketball team the Sixers are than in years past. I got a weird vibe that they go steal Game 5 because yesterday Boston let that game slip away. You can make a case Sixers were up 16, they blew it, but Boston was up 5 with under 2 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. That game should have been a wrap for them, and they let us off the hook, right? And we stole that game back from them. That doesn't mean that Boston walks into Game 5 with confidence. If I'm Boston, I'm walking into Game 5 saying, well, I can't just worry about Embiid anymore because Harden in 2 games is going up for 40.
Has our luck run out? When they hit that 3-pointer at the buzzer yesterday, and the referees, this is how bad that is. The referees did not see that the shot clock had expired. And Boston celebrating, and now that gets taken away from them. That messes with you mentally. They are not going to. Boston's going to play hard because Brown is extremely talented. Tatum is extremely talented. Brogdon, how the hell that guy's a 6 man? I'll never know.
Yeah,
he would be a 2-man for me. That guy can play, but the Sixers just have to match the Celtics' intensity. When they do, they win. When they don't, they get blown out.
Exactly. And yesterday, you saw it right away.
From
they were
minute
matching.
One.
Yep.
Yes.
They were ready to play. And it's that energy and effort. Like if you're ready to play and you're boxing out and you're not allowing second chance opportunities, you're going to be in great shape. You're going to be in every game for the rest of the playoffs, no matter who you're playing. You're just playing the best team in the East, in my opinion. But I think the Sixers are right there and being the best team in the East. So listen, it's a real positive night for the
It's
fans.
pretty simple. My daughter led the county in rebounds at 5'8", because I taught her when she was very little. I said, you know who gets the rebound? The guy that wants it the most. That's who gets the rebound.
It's great parenting. It's great parenting. It's the truth. Listen, we're gonna have a ton of fun on Mondays. Guys, we went over a little bit today because listen, for everybody know we're feeling our way through a little bit, right? And we're gonna continue to get better together, because we're gonna keep getting a better feel for each other. But for a first show, A+ first show.
I love the comments, guys. I want to talk to as many of you as we can during this show. I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
It is. We're just getting going. So we'll be here every Monday, same time, same place, 1 p.m. Eastern. And remember, with anything A2D Radio, not only are we live, but everything goes back and stays up on the platforms we're live at, and everything gets uploaded to all the podcast forums. So if you have iHeartRadio, iTunes, Speaker, Spotify, Google Play, Apple Podcasts, you name it, we're there. We're also, if you're a big social media fan too, we're Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, even for the younger cats, right? For the Thundercats, we got TikTok, right? So we're everywhere bringing you different types of content. So make sure not only you follow A2D, make sure you go follow Mitch on his social medias. I think I followed you on Instagram. I believe that was
I'm
you.
I'm not on anything anymore.
So it was you, the old Mitch. I found the old Mitch.
Yeah, I don't do social media.
God bless you.
It makes my thumbs hurt.
Listen, God bless you. Wayne, we're just getting started, Wayne. We appreciate the support. You're one of the best ones, Wayne.
Thank you, Wayne.
And Jordan says his off days are on Monday. So that's awesome.
Perfect.
That's awesome. We'll see you a lot.
We'll talk to you next Monday, Jordan.
And Wayne, you know what you're going to say a lot of throughout Mondays? Mitch, you're exactly right. You're exactly right.
Well, here's the thing, buddy.
Here's the thing. So this has been Here's the Thing with Mitch Williams, Tom Arnone, everybody out there. We can't thank you enough. Pound the like, pound the subscribe, turn your alerts on. We appreciate you, and we are brought to you this Monday by, let me get this off of here, by Phillies Sports Trips. Hey, Birds fans, Tom Arnone with some huge news. The schedule is coming out this week, not even next week. This week, the schedule is coming out. Make sure you go see my friends from PhilliesSportsTrips.com and reserve your spot today. You'll get to watch a Birds game in a great city and hang out with former Eagles like Hollis Thomas.
Hollis is the best.
Oh, he is the best. And we'll talk about that down the road on how I got connected with Hollis. I mean, it was just I had a great day in Clearwater and got connected with Hollis, and now Hollis and Irv are live once a week here on HUD Radio. Right now they're Fridays. This week they're Wednesday at 5, and then they'll be Fridays for the rest of the month at 5, and then they're going to move to their official time slot every Thursday at 5 o'clock. Philly Sports Trips is the best. Philly Sports Trips books at the best hotels and have the best birds available. You know you'll have a blast. Book now and tell them HUD sent you. For Mitch Williams, I'm Tom Arnone. We thank you again. Mitch, you're the best. Thanks for doing this. And I'll see you next Monday. I'll talk to you before that. Everybody, we're out of here. Stay tuned tonight, 7:30 Eastern. Sports Hounds are live. I'm sure they're going to be talking Sixers with you. So, and tomorrow night, Game 5, second half, live reactions right here on HUD Radio. I actually cancel lessons. I'm canceling lessons for it, which means the Sixers are going to lose by 20. We're out of here.